Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start today with a question that may seem simple, yet holds the power to shake the very foundations of our lives. Are you lying to yourself? Now, before you rush to answer, pause for a moment. We are quick to condemn lies told by others, politicians, colleagues, even friends. But what about the lies we whisper to ourselves in the silence of our own minds? These lies are subtle, seductive, and dangerous because they don't come from outside, they come from within. Self-deception is not about being dishonest to others. It's about convincing ourselves that we are fine when we're not, that we are trying when we're not, that we are happy when we're far from it. It's about crafting illusions that shield us from pain, but also keep us from growth. Think about it. We tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, and knowing tomorrow rarely comes. We say, I'm okay with this relationship, when deep down we know it's draining us. We convince ourselves, I'm doing my best, when in truth we are holding back out of fear. These small lies pile up until they become the very fabric of our identity. And the most dangerous part, we start believing them. But here's the truth. Every time we lie to ourselves, we trade short-term comfort for long-term regret. Self-deception may feel like a shield, but it's really a cage. It traps us in mediocrity, keeps us in toxic cycles, and blinds us from our true potential. So how do we break free? It starts with radical honesty. Brutal, uncomfortable honesty with ourselves. Ask yourself, am I truly living the life I want or the life others expect of me? Am I chasing excuses or am I chasing results? Am I staying busy or am I being productive? Honesty is painful. It might strip away the comforting illusions you've held for years. But honesty is also liberating. It's the first step to reclaiming control, to rewriting your story, to becoming the person you know deep inside you were meant to be. Imagine looking in the mirror, not at the person you pretend to be, not at the version you've created to appease others, but at the real you, flawed, vulnerable, yet authentic. That person may not have it all figured out, but they have something more powerful, the courage to stop pretending. And that courage is the beginning of transformation. So today, I challenge you, stop lying to yourself. Stop telling yourself you're happy when you're not. Stop insisting you're giving your all when you know you're only giving half. Stop pretending your dreams can wait when time is slipping away. The truth may sting, but it will also set you free. Free to grow, free to change, free to live without masks. Because at the end of the day, the greatest betrayal is not being lied to by others. The greatest betrayal is when we lie to ourselves and rob our own souls of the chance to shine. So I ask you again, not as a question but as a challenge. Are you ready to stop lying to yourself? The subtle power of self-deception when we hear the word lie. Most of us think about deliberate dishonesty toward others. A child caught with their hand in the cookie jar, a politician twisting facts, or a friend who hides the truth to avoid confrontation. But some of the most dangerous lies are not the ones told to others. They are the ones we tell ourselves. These lies are so subtle, so quiet, and so convincing that we often don't recognize them for what they are: self-deception. Self-deception isn't always dramatic. It rarely shows up as bold statements like, I'm the happiest person alive, or I have everything under control. Instead, it creeps into our daily lives through small excuses, gentle justifications, and comforting stories. It tells us, I'll start tomorrow. I don't have time. It's not that bad. These phrases sound harmless, even reasonable. Yet behind their soothing tone lies a trap, because once we start believing them, they become the scripts by which we live our lives. The power of self-deception lies in its subtlety. Unlike lies from others, which we can often spot with skepticism, self-deception is internal. It speaks in our own voice. It sounds familiar, even protective. When we are tired, it says, rest, you deserve it. When deep down, we know we are avoiding something important. When we are afraid to take a leap, it whispers, now's not the right time, disguising fear as practicality. And because these lies feel comfortable, we rarely question them. But here's the danger. Every time we deceive ourselves, we create a false sense of security. We avoid discomfort today, but at the cost of growth tomorrow. For example, someone stuck in a job they dislike may convince themselves, at least it pays the bills, I should be grateful. While gratitude is important, using it as a mask for dissatisfaction keeps them from pursuing something more fulfilling. Over time, these small compromises snowball into an entire life built on settling, not striving. Another subtle way self-deception operates is through comparisons. We tell ourselves, I'm doing better than most, and use that as a reason not to push harder. But measuring ourselves against others often leads to complacency. Just because you're ahead of someone else doesn't mean you're anywhere close to where you could be. Self-deception hides behind the comfort of good enough and robs us of the greatness we're capable of. Self-deception also has a clever way of protecting our ego. Instead of admitting, I didn't give my best effort, we might say, the circumstances weren't right, or I'm just not lucky. These lies soothe our pride but block us from accountability. And accountability is the birthplace of change. Without it, we stay stuck in patterns that never serve us. What makes self-deception especially powerful is that it operates silently over time. One excuse may not change your life, but repeated over months or years, these small lies create invisible chains. They trap you in routines, relationships, or mindsets that don't reflect your true desires. You wake up one day wondering, how did I get here? The answer is simple, through hundreds of tiny deceptions that slowly shaped your reality. Recognizing this power is the first step toward breaking free. When you catch yourself saying, I'll do it later, ask, is this the truth, or is this self-deception speaking? When you find yourself insisting, I'm fine, pause and ask, am I really fine, or am I avoiding something? Self-awareness is like flipping on a light switch in a dark room. It doesn't solve every problem, but it helps you see what's really there. In the end, self-deception is powerful not because it is loud, but because it is quiet. It doesn't confront us, it comforts us. It doesn't demand attention, it whispers in the background, and that is why it's so dangerous. Because unless we actively choose to challenge it, we will continue living under its spell. Safe, comfortable, but far from truly alive. The truth is often uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. By understanding the subtle power of self-deception, we give ourselves the chance to step out of illusion and into authenticity. And that step, though difficult, is the beginning of real transformation. Common lies we tell ourselves when it comes to self-deception. Most of us don't even realize how often we practice it. The lies we tell ourselves aren't usually grand or dramatic. They're subtle, ordinary, and deceptively comforting. They appear in everyday thoughts, in excuses we repeat so often they start sounding like truth. But make no mistake, these small lies carry great weight because they quietly shape the choices we make and ultimately the life we live. Let's start with one of the most common lies, I'll start tomorrow. On the surface, this seems harmless. What difference does one more day make? But tomorrow quickly becomes next week, next month, or even next year. We comfort ourselves with the illusion that we are simply waiting for the right time. But deep down, we know the real reason: fear, procrastination, or lack of discipline. Every time we say, I'll start tomorrow, we trade real progress for a false sense of relief. The danger is that tomorrow never really comes. Life keeps moving, and by the time we're ready to begin, the opportunity has often passed us by. Another frequent lie is I'm fine. We say this when we're anything but fine, when we're stressed, hurting, or deeply unfulfilled. It's the lie we tell to avoid difficult conversations, to maintain appearances, or to convince ourselves that our struggles aren't as heavy as they feel. On the outside, we might smile and insist that everything is okay. On the inside, however, we're crumbling. The longer we deny our true feelings, the heavier the weight becomes. Pretending to be fine may seem like strength, but in reality, it's avoidance. and avoidance prevents us from getting the help, rest, or healing we truly need. Then there's the lie of I'm doing my best. Now, sometimes this is true, but often it's not. Many times we tell ourselves this to justify mediocrity or to avoid confronting the fact that we're holding back. We might be giving effort, but not our best effort. Maybe we're distracted, unfocused, or too afraid to really push past our limits. Saying I'm doing my best when we're not is self-deception because it allows us to stay in our comfort zone. It spares us the discomfort of asking, could I actually do more? Could I push harder? Could I give better focus? The honest answer might sting, but it's also the only way to grow. A subtler but equally damaging lie is this is good enough. On the surface, this sounds like acceptance, even gratitude, but too often, it's an excuse we use to settle for less than we truly want. We stay in jobs that drain us, relationships that don't fulfill us, or routines that don't challenge us, all because we tell ourselves it's good enough. Gratitude is important, yes, but when good enough becomes a mask for fear of change, we lock ourselves into mediocrity. We deny ourselves the chance to pursue greatness, to aim higher, and to truly thrive. Another very common lie is, I don't care what people think. It sounds empowering, but in many cases, it's not true. Most of us do care what others think. It influences our choices, our actions, and even the risks we take. Pretending not to care is a defense mechanism to protect ourselves from vulnerability. But here's the irony. True freedom comes not from denying that we care, but from acknowledging it and still choosing to live authentically. Self-deception here prevents us from admitting the real battle, learning how to manage others' opinions without letting them control us. These lies, though small, are powerful because they repeat. One I'll start tomorrow turns into years of delay. One I'm fine hides years of pain. One I'm doing my best locks us in cycles of mediocrity. One this is good enough keeps us stuck in a life far smaller than what we're capable of. The truth is that these lies aren't malicious, they're protective. They shield us from fear, discomfort, and pain. But what they also do is protect us from growth, transformation, and authenticity. They keep us comfortable, but they also keep us stuck. To break free, we must first name them. The moment you say, this isn't fine, I'm not giving my best, I'm afraid and I've been hiding behind excuses, you take back your power, self. Deception thrives in the shadows, but once it's brought into the light, it begins to lose its grip. In the end, the lies we tell ourselves are not harmless. They are costly. They cost us time, potential, and authenticity. Recognizing and rejecting these lies is not about being harsh with ourselves. It's about being real with ourselves. Because only when we face the truth can we begin to live fully, courageously, and authentically. The cost of self-deception, we often think of lying to ourselves as harmless, just a way to soften reality, to protect our ego, or to avoid uncomfortable truths. But what we fail to realize is that every self-deception carries a cost, and those costs accumulate silently until they become unbearable. The cost of self-deception is not paid in dollars or possessions. It is paid in lost time, missed opportunities, broken confidence, and unfulfilled potential. Let's start with time, perhaps the most precious resource we have. Every time we tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, we unknowingly push our dreams further into the future. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before long, we look back at a decade of promises never kept. The lie that there's still time creates a false sense of security, but the reality is, time is slipping away regardless of our excuses, and once it's gone, it never comes back. Next is the cost of opportunity. Opportunities rarely knock twice. When we lie to ourselves by saying, I'm not ready yet, or I don't deserve this chance, we let those moments pass us by. Opportunities are like doors. If you don't walk through when they open, they often close forever. And while we comfort ourselves by believing another door will open, the truth is some doors are once in a lifetime. Self-deception convinces us to play it safe, but in doing so, we pay the price of never knowing what could have been. Another heavy cost is emotional and mental well-being. Living a life of self-deception means constantly carrying contradictions within us. On the outside, we pretend everything is fine, but on the inside, we know something isn't right. This creates stress, anxiety, and even self-loathing. Imagine smiling at work while secretly hating your job, or staying in a relationship that drains your soul while telling yourself it's not that bad. Over time, this emotional dishonesty chips away at your inner peace, leaving you exhausted and resentful. Then there's the cost of self-confidence. Every time we lie to ourselves, we erode our trust in our own word. Think about it. If a friend constantly broke promises, you'd stop trusting them. The same happens internally. When you tell yourself you'll get up early but hit snooze, when you commit to change but stay the same, your subconscious begins to doubt your own reliability. Slowly but surely, you lose faith in yourself, and without self-trust, confidence crumbles. But perhaps the greatest cost of self-deception is unlived potential. Inside each of us lies a vision of who we could become, the goals we could achieve, the lives we could touch, the dreams we could manifest. Yet, self-deception keeps us locked in mediocrity. We settle for good enough because admitting we want great feels scary. We tell ourselves, I'm fine where I am, not realizing that every time we lower the bar, we are dimming our own light. And the tragedy is that the world never gets to see the full brilliance of what we could have been. To sum it up, the cost of self-deception is the life we never live. It's the dreams we abandon before they even begin. It's the courage we never muster, the changes we never make, and the person we never become. So yes, honesty with ourselves may hurt. It may reveal flaws we'd rather hide or truths we'd rather ignore. But if we continue deceiving ourselves, the pain of honesty will be nothing compared to the pain of regret. Regret for the time wasted, opportunities lost, peace sacrificed, confidence broken, and potential buried. The choice then is clear. We can pay the short-term price of honesty, or we can pay the lifelong cost of self-deception. And between the two, honesty, no matter how uncomfortable, is always the cheaper price. Radical honesty as the antidote. If self-deception is the disease, then radical honesty is the cure. But let's be clear, honesty with ourselves is not about casually admitting mistakes or occasionally reflecting on our flaws. It is a bold, often uncomfortable practice that requires us to strip away illusions and face reality exactly as it is, not as we wish it to be. This kind of honesty is radical because it doesn't stop at the surface. It digs deep into the roots of who we are, what we want, and how we live. Why is radical honesty so powerful? Because lies, especially the ones we tell ourselves, act like blindfolds. They shield us from seeing the truth, but they also keep us from seeing possibilities. Honesty removes the blindfold. Suddenly, you can see your situation clearly. You can see the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And while that gap may feel overwhelming, acknowledging it is the first step toward bridging it. Let's consider a few areas where radical honesty makes all the difference. First, in our goals. Many people tell themselves they want success, but if you press deeper, their daily actions don't reflect that desire. Radical honesty means asking, do my habits align with my dreams? Am I truly committed? Or am I just interested? It's easy to say, I want to be fit, but radical honesty forces us to admit, I skip workouts because I prioritize comfort over discipline. That sting of truth is painful, but it's also motivating. Once you strip away the excuse, you're left with a choice, stay the same or change. Second, in our relationships. How many times do we stay in friendships, jobs, or romances out of fear of being alone, out of obligation, or out of comfort? We tell ourselves, it's fine, when deep inside we know it isn't. Radical honesty requires us to face that dissonance. It asks, is this connection nourishing me or draining me? Am I staying here because I want to, or because I'm afraid to leave? Those answers can be life-changing. They might hurt in the short term, but they open the door to healthier, more authentic relationships. Third, in our fears, self. Deception often disguises fear as logic. We say, I'm not ready yet, or I'll wait for the right time, when the truth is we're afraid of failure, judgment, or rejection. Radical honesty means naming that fear instead of hiding it. Saying out loud, I'm scared of failing, gives us the clarity to confront it. And once fear is exposed to the light, it begins to lose its power. Of course, practicing radical honesty is not easy. It means holding up a mirror to ourselves when we'd rather look away. It means asking hard questions and being willing to hear answers that may shatter our illusions. But here's the paradox. The very pain of honesty becomes the fuel for growth. Every time we admit a truth we've been avoiding, we unlock the possibility of change. Think of it like cleaning a wound. At first, it stings. You might even want to stop, but only when the wound is cleaned can it begin to heal. Radical honesty works the same way. It hurts because it exposes what's broken, but in that exposure lies the chance to heal and grow. Ultimately, radical honesty isn't about beating ourselves up. It's about setting ourselves free, free from excuses, free from denial, free from living a life that doesn't truly belong to us. It is about reclaiming responsibility and stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. So, if self-deception is a cage, then radical honesty is the key. And while unlocking the door may terrify us at first, it is the only way to step into a life of authenticity, courage, and true fulfillment. The freedom of authentic living. What happens when we stop lying to ourselves? When we finally strip away the excuses, the masks, and the half-truths, what we gain is something priceless, the freedom of authentic living. Authenticity is more than just being real with others. It begins with being real with ourselves. Many people go through life playing roles, acting as the good employee, the loyal partner, the responsible parent, or the strong friend, while burying their true desires, fears, and feelings. They live according to scripts written by society, family, or fear of judgment. And yet, beneath the surface, there's a constant tension. This is not who I truly am. The beauty of authenticity is that it dissolves that tension. When you stop lying to yourself and start embracing the truth of who you are, life feels lighter. You no longer waste energy maintaining appearances or juggling masks. Instead, your energy flows toward what matters: your passions, your purpose, your growth. Let's think about freedom in 3 areas: internal peace, healthier relationships, and courageous choices. First, internal peace, self. Deception creates inner conflict. Imagine saying, I'm fine, while knowing you're not, or claiming you're happy in your career while secretly longing for change. This gap between reality and the story we tell ourselves generates stress, anxiety, and even self-doubt. Authenticity closes that gap. When you admit, I'm struggling right now, or I'm not happy with this path, you may not have solutions immediately, but you gain peace because you're no longer at war with yourself. That honesty, even if painful, feels liberating. It allows your mind and heart to align instead of constantly fighting. Second, healthier relationships. When we lie to ourselves, we inevitably lie to others. If you're pretending to be satisfied in a friendship, marriage, or workplace, you're not truly showing up. You're offering a version of yourself shaped by fear, obligation, or convenience. But when you live authentically, your connections become more genuine. You attract people who resonate with the real you, not the mask. Yes, authenticity may mean losing relationships that no longer fit. But it also makes space for deeper, more fulfilling connections built on honesty and respect. Would you rather be loved for a mask you wear, or for who you truly are? Third, courageous choices. Authentic living empowers you to make decisions that align with your values rather than your fears. Instead of saying, this is good enough, you dare to say, I want more, and I'm going after it. Instead of staying in the safety of self-deception, you take risks that reflect your true desires. Authenticity doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you live a life that's yours. And there's nothing more liberating than knowing your choices come from truth, not illusion. Of course, authenticity comes with challenges. The truth is not always convenient. Being real may disappoint others. It may force you to face fears you've long avoided, but here's the paradox. While authenticity feels risky, it's actually safer in the long run. Why? Because pretending eventually collapses, masks slip. Lies unravel, and when they do, the fallout is far greater than the discomfort of honesty. When you live authentically, you also unlock resilience. Even when you stumble as your true self, not as a character you've been pretending to be. That integrity gives you strength. You can say, I may not be perfect, but at least I'm real. I'm growing from a place of truth. In the end, the freedom of authentic living is not about perfection. It's about alignment, aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your deepest values and desires. It's about giving yourself permission to be human, to be imperfect, but also to be unapologetically true. So when you stop lying to yourself, you don't just gain honesty. You gain freedom, freedom from masks, freedom from regret, freedom to live a life that is not borrowed, imitated, or imposed, but wholly, beautifully yours. As we come to the end of this message, let me bring us back to the very first question I asked. Are you lying to yourself? It's not a question meant to shame or accuse. It's a question meant to awaken. Because the truth is, self-deception is not something other people struggle with. It's a silent, universal battle. At some point, every single one of us has told ourselves comforting lies. I'll change tomorrow. This is good enough. I'm fine. And in those moments, we believe we're protecting ourselves, but in reality, we're slowly sabotaging ourselves. The real danger of self-deception is not in the single lie, it's in the pattern it creates. One excuse may not derail a life, but repeated over years, these little lies shape our destiny. They decide what opportunities we take, what risks we avoid, and who we ultimately become. And that is why this conversation matters, because the quality of your life depends not on the lies you tell yourself, but on the truths you're willing to face. Think for a moment about the weight of regret. Imagine reaching the end of your journey and realizing you never pursued your true passions, never voiced your real feelings, never lived your authentic life, because you kept convincing yourself with lies. That regret is far heavier than the temporary discomfort of honesty. Pain from the truth fades as it fuels growth. Pain from self-deception lingers forever because it's tied to what could have been. So what's the alternative? Radical honesty, choosing every day to confront the small lies before they snowball into lifelong regrets. Asking yourself tough but necessary questions. Am I really giving my best, or am I settling for good enough? Am I truly happy or just comfortable? Am I living my life or the version others expect of me? These questions are not easy. In fact, they may shake the foundation of the life you've built. But here's the paradox, that shaking is not destruction. It's rebirth. When you remove the illusions, what remains is real. And real is always stronger, braver, and freer than fake. Living authentically doesn't mean you'll never struggle. It doesn't mean every day will be filled with clarity and confidence. What it does mean is that when you struggle, you'll struggle as yourself. You won't waste energy keeping up appearances or pretending to be someone you're not. You'll be rooted in honesty, and honesty gives you power. Power to grow, power to change, power to live fully. So today, I invite you to take a step toward freedom. Start small if you need to. Catch yourself the next time you say, I'll start tomorrow. And ask, why not today? When you feel the urge to say, I'm fine, pause and be honest. I'm not okay right now, and that's human. When you find yourself claiming, this is good enough, challenge that thought. Do I really want to settle, or do I want more? Bit by bit, those small truths will add up. And as they do, something powerful will happen. You'll start to trust yourself again. You'll feel lighter, freer, and more aligned. You'll stop living a rehearsed life and start living a real one. Remember this. The greatest betrayal is not when others lie to you. It's when you lie to yourself. And the greatest freedom is not when others believe in you. It's when you finally believe in yourself enough to stop pretending. So ask yourself right here, right now, what truth have I been avoiding? What lie have I been living? And am I ready today to finally face it? Because your future self is waiting, not for the lies, not for the excuses, but for the courage of your honesty. Thank you.